So in today's video, I'm going to share some tips on how host families can avoid rematch. Now, I must say that even though I'm sharing these tips, you may still go through rematch, or it's not like a guaranteed that you're never gonna go through rematch, because the reality is there are some au pairs and host families that are just different, and the way they do life or their styles or personalities just clash, and that is absolutely okay. Everyone needs to find what works for them. But this is just gonna give you some tips on how to prevent rematch, and these are like basic tips. These are like personalities aside, and like, oh, let's say partying aside, and just like recklessness aside. These are just tips that I feel like if you do these tips correctly, you can avoid rematch, because these things are actually small things that become big foxes that can cause you to go into a rematch. So my first point would be, set all your expectations. Like before your pair even arrives, from talking to them either on the phone or interviewing them, make your expectations known as a host family and the au pair. Like ask your au pair, what are your expectations for when you come to America? Do you want to travel a lot? Do you not want to travel? Do you want the cultural difference a lot? Are you like a homebody? And then I would say, as a host family, set your expectations. Make sure they are clear when on vacation. Like say, hey, if we're a type of family that wants to go on vacation and we don't want to go with the au pair, say like, hey, I prefer just me and the kids going on vacation. Say, we would love it if you came with us on vacation. Set expectations, because you could be like, we want our au pair to travel with us every single time, and your au pair may just not want to travel with you guys, and so that would be something you would have to consider. But I highly recommend making your expectations clear, because I found in the past that host families have this fear that, oh, especially if they've been rejected during the interviewing process by quite a few au pairs, they start to tone down their request. And then what happens is they put all these perks out, or they say all these things during this whole process, and they don't set their expectations, or they try to dim down their expectations just because they're tired of getting the rejection. Like, oh, this au pair is not coming with us again, she's not coming with us again. And then what happens is the au pair comes here, and what the au pair thought it would be, it was not the same way, or they come here and reality hits and they're like, this is not what I expected. Like, you said I'm gonna work some weekends, and then I get here and I'm working like 3 weekends out of a month. 3 weekends out of a month. Set expectations. Be like, yo, we know that most au pairs don't work on weekends, but we are a family that are gonna need you on a weekend. And so say like, we guarantee that 1 weekend per month you're gonna be off. Now, if you don't need her for 2 weekends or 3 weekends per month, that's great. That's like an extra bonus. But if you lie and say, or if you dim it down and say for some weekends, don't do that, because what's going to happen in her head, some weekends is going to be a random weekend here, a random weekend there, a random weekend there, and then she's going to get frustrated if she's been there for 3 months and she's worked like at least three weekends per month and 1 weekend off, and she's like, but this is not what they said, they didn't say that. And so set your expectations very clear, especially when it comes to the schedule, to vacation, to kids. Like, make sure the au pair knows exactly. And I'm not saying you can like give her like step by steps, but give her day-to-days and things that are a priority, or things that just really matter to you that could cause tension in the future. Yeah, so make sure you guys are both on the same page, because even like when it comes to the phone, are you gonna provide the phone? Sure, but do you want the phone at the end of the year, or is it her phone to go home with? Are you have to pay for the phone bill. The car, can she drive the car for her own needs? Because what's happened is that host families have also said you're gonna get a car when you get here, and au pairs get here and they want to use the car for personal needs, but the host family's like, no, you got a car to look after the kids. For your own personal need, you have to take an Uber, you have to get rides with your friends, and that becomes a problem, because au pairs assume that they were gonna have the car, or they thought that when you said they're going to be a car provided for them, that they can use it for their own needs too. So make sure every expectation, I always say, over communicate. And if you don't need what you said you were going to need, that's great. Free time for her. She's actually going to be more happy. But don't say you're not going to do something, or you're not going to need something, and then you get here and you do. Number 2, give your au pair time to adjust. I have found that there are families that especially if you have a busy schedule, like you maybe came from a rematch, or you came from a situation where last minute the person who was taking care of your kids before had to leave, and so you had to get this new au pair and she had to come in pretty fast, and it's just rush, and you're getting frustrated because you're like, hey, you're a qualified au pair, why aren't you just picking up slack and like easy go around? No, give your au pair time to adjust. She is coming into a new home, a new schedule, new kids, new you, and she's learning all this basically for the first time. So give her time to adjust. Be aware that it could go a month, 2 months, she's still asking you questions. I'm not saying like baby her questions, but she still could be like, hey, I've never taken so and so to the dentist before because I've only been here for 2 months. Where is the dentist? Or like, hey, I've never been here when so and so was sick. What kind of medication do I give so and so? Don't get frustrated, because some host families expect their au pairs to come and assume to know everything apart from the schedule, and they're like, but you take care of kids. Oh, she's not qualified to take care of my kids. She doesn't even know this. She doesn't know that. Yo, like, chill. Give her time to adapt. Give her time to adjust, and be ready for her to ask questions. Create an environment that she feels supported and she's not afraid to ask you these questions, and just know that even in the area, she's gonna still learn the area. When it comes to food, she's still gonna learn what type of food she likes. So you can't be expecting her to make these 5-course meals for you guys. She's still learning, you guys. And in general, like even with the kids, I know there was a family that was frustrated. I'd been there for like what, 3 weeks or so, and so the kids were fussy eaters and I was still learning, and like the mom was irritated because she was like, they can't be keep eating this all the time, and I'm like, they weren't even eating the same thing every day. But she had made a dish, or like her husband had made a dish from a different country that they would eat all the time, and she wanted me to make it, and I was like, dude, your kids are fussy eaters. I'm still learning your kids. I'm still learning my way around the house. And I even said, can I just have more time to figure out everything, because I'm juggling like learning your kids, learning their food, I'm learning their schedule. They had a full schedule. I'm learning how to manage my time between the schedule, because we had like 20 minutes in between schedules for one of the kids, and then another kid had a schedule. And so it's stuff like that. Like, give your au pair time, because when you keep like following your au pair, or you're on top of her and you're rushing her, it puts her at unease or tension, and it makes her feel like she's not doing a great job. Like, be prepared for her to come back. And as I said to you, I'm not saying baby your au pair. I'm not saying that, hey, it's 2 months and your au pair still doesn't know how to change your child's diaper. That's a red flag. She should have known how to change your child's diaper when she got there. But I'm just saying, like, when it comes to things that are culturally shocking, or things that are like different, that maybe it's just what Americans do and South Africans don't do, just give her time. And if you see time is going by, just say, hey, I just want to help you. I see like you still haven't done this. Do you understand how to do it? Can I help you? You'd be surprised at how approaching that situation versus attacking the situation could soften up and open up a greater, bigger communication, and could burn out fires. It also helps the au pair, like just knowing that, you know, like she has you in her corner and that whole thing. It helps her feel more confident, and it helps her feel more comfortable to even make mistakes. And when I say mistakes, I'm not talking about life and death mistakes. I'm talking about like learning mistakes where like, oh, her schedule. I have missed a child's activity. Like, there's times where I'm like two busy kids that have all these schedules, and I was like, I'm missing something, like, you know, it's not on the calendar, or it is on the calendar, and I feel, and it happened. And having a great host family, be like, listen, this happens. Like, as parents, as host parents, you guys are also gonna forget stuff. And so I just want to say, having grace and allowing your au pair to make mistakes. Now, I'm not talking about mistakes that cost your child's life or like danger. That I'm not talking about those. I'm just talking about like, in the beginning, it's a lot, and it can be overwhelming for your au pair too. Number 3, this point will actually help you as a host family. I don't think host families realize this, but your au pair building community outside of your house is actually good. Because if your au pair has a life, has friends, and what I mean with that, obviously, I would say open your house to your au pair's friends also. I'm not saying they must be hosting parties and like turning up in your house and going crazy. However, I do feel like if you have a great relationship with your au pair and her friends, it makes her match even more sweeter. There's something about having a life outside of your au pair family that, like, in the house you angel the au pair, outside you just angel. You hang out with your friends, you just angel, you laugh and you kicking. And even if you're au pair, let's say you stay in an area that is boring, it doesn't have the glitz and the glamour. The fact that she has friends to do stuff with, even if they're just sitting and watching movies all the time, will make her feel more comfortable, will make her even want to stay in that area. On top of you being a great host family, like if you try and you're going out your way to be a great host family and she has great friends outside of the house too, then chances are she's not gonna want to rematch. Because au pairs also, like, when they feel like, oh my gosh, this place is so boring, I'm struggling to make friends, I'm just always in the house surrounded by my host family, I need to be whatever. Au pairs can rematch or just be like, I don't want to extend here. I want to go somewhere else where I can make friends. I want to go somewhere else where I can see stuff. And so them having friends outside of the house, or having a community, and also knowing that you know they are friends and you know what type of company they're around, she's able or she's comfortable to have her friends over if she wants, obviously with your permission. And just feeling like, okay, like she has sense of community, she has a life. It's very important for your pair to also have her own life other than just being surrounded by you, because she's gonna feel like tired or just like it's a lot. And even though you're a great host family, it's still good for her to have her own life, hang out with kids, with people her age, and just experience things that somebody her age would experience, outside of just talking about your kids or just talking about just life, you know. Like, it'll be great to just have people who are outside the au pair world, or just outside the mom and kids and host family, and she just gets to be, as I said earlier, the person. Like, I'm just Angel. Another thing with her having community or friends outside it takes off the strain of the whole cultural shock thing of the host family. Like, yes, the host family has to give cultural shock. Not cultural shock, the whole cultural experience. I'm not saying don't do it, but I've found with having friends, either friends from this whole country, like America, if you're in America, I'm in America, having friends who are in America, they've also exposed me to some American cultures, and they've also taught me some things. They've taken me places. And so you don't have to feel like, if you have an au pair who wants to come here for culture specifically and she feels like she's not getting that with her host family, if she has friends outside or she has community, she'll be getting it there and they'll travel. But I'm still saying you're also part of giving her a whole cultural exchange, but it won't be as heavy. It won't be as like now with my host family, I know for sure that they don't feel the pressure of like, oh, is she getting the cultural exposure? Like, my host mom will do stuff here and there, my host dad, and we'll have these conversations and everything, but I get to try foods and places and things with my friends that are not, like, you know, in the au pair world, that we don't do in South Africa. So I get the cultural aspect of it, and my host family loves it. Like, I'll come back and we'll talk about it and they'll like laugh and they'll say, oh, this is what, oh, you should try this one or that, which is great. And it's also great that my host family, my friends know my host family, because they also can speak into it. So like, if I'm like, oh, I feel this way, I feel type way, they're like, yeah, but is this like you PMSing, or is this how your host family really is? Or like, Angel, I don't think this is what they meant. Like, knowing your family and hang out with your family, ooh, you know, like it's a good place to get sound advice from also. But this is only if your host family is a great host family and your au pair is a great au pair. Another thing that helps with having friends in the community outside is community. Because believe it or not, host families, I know agencies always say, tell your host family if you're homesick, and it's great telling your host family you're homesick, but I know as au pairs, telling you also could sound like you saying you're not happy with your match, or you unhappy, or you being ungrateful. And so sometimes we go through homesickness just on our own. We just like, we don't want to verbalize it because we don't want you to think that we're unhappy with the match, or we don't want you to think that you know, like we're miserable or we want. Now, there are host families that are able to take that information and not think that on themselves, but majority would feel like, oh, you know, my au pair said she's feeling homesick, she's unhappy, oh, she doesn't like the match, she doesn't like us. Meanwhile, we're just really homesick. Now having friends, it's more easier, more likely to tell my friends and be like, yo, I'm so homesick today. Let's do something. Let's go somewhere. I feel like, you know, like I want to do this. I just want to get out the house. I'm feeling homesick, without feeling like they're gonna hurt someone's feelings. I don't know if this is coming across right. Number 4, which I touched on a bit in number 1, is I highly think you need to have open communication, good communication, and communication that solves the problem. It's not the attacking. So if your au pair says something, just know they're not attacking you, and vice versa. If a host family is saying something to an au pair, they're not attacking the au pair. Unless you intentionally want to attack the au pair or the host family. I think when there's a problem at hand, solve the problem versus trying to be right or wrong or trying to do a situation. Having open communication and like healthy communication, where I know for me, like there were things that the grandparents did when I came and take care of my host kid. The grandparents used to take care of him, and then when I came, the grandparents showed me the system, showed me the ropes, how to do it, and things that I was like, okay, I see why you're doing it, but I am not the grandparent. I am an au pair, and basically I am a stranger. And so I would say, hey, I'm going to do it this way. I'm going to do it in a way that makes me comfortable. Not to say that I'm breaking their rules or anything. I'm just saying that as a grandparent, you have more flexibility because it's your child's child, versus I'm an au pair. And this is what I'm comfortable with, and this is what I'm not comfortable with. And they were like, oh, okay, cool. Now, I'm not talking about if it causes harm on the kids or it causes like the system to break. It's just like things that I was just like, I see why you can do it that way because you're the grand, but I'm not the grand. And so I'm not going to do it that way. I'm going to do it this way to protect myself and to protect the kid and to protect if the situation has to ever go south. I just need to protect myself. And having that conversation was very open. And they were like, oh, okay, if you're comfortable, it may seem a bit harder, but if you're comfortable, go ahead. And I was like, yeah, I'm comfortable. Yes, it'll be harder or whatever, but I'm definitely doing it, you know, like that way. And so create an atmosphere where you guys do check-ins. And I'm not talking about just like every 5 months, especially in the beginning. Just do like a regular check-in after work or whatever. Like, hey, are you good? Like, how was the day? Is Tommy like reacting? Is he listening? Or just, you know what I'm saying? I'm not saying it has to be like a 2-hour meeting or that sort. Or be like, hey, like how was your weekend? And, oh, it was good. Okay, cool. Are you ticking off everything you wanted to do during your au pair year? How can I help, you know, like achieve some of your dreams? Or like how can, like, what foods do you want to try? It's small things like those. Or like what restaurants you wanted to try when you were in your home country. And it's like I appreciate when like a host family, or you know, like my host mom comes back and she's like, I know you wanted to try this place, I saw it and I drove by and I got this, you should try it. Or she'll bring like small things like, you have to try this is like an American da, 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 da. You know, it's like small things like those. Or like when she like sits me down, instead of having like not even an attitude or a tone or whatever, and just say, hey, I think next time maybe let's do it this way, because you know, like this is how he's used to doing it. And I'm like, okay, cool, fine. Or if I say, yeah, I know, but I don't want anything to happen, or like I don't feel comfortable because of a safety hazard, or maybe my health or something. Like it depends on the situation, as I said. But create an open conversation where your au pair is comfortable enough to say, hey, this is why I don't feel comfortable or safe doing it this way. And you knowing that it's nothing against you or your family. She's protecting her interest, and you've created a safe space for her to even communicate that. I hope this is making sense, because I feel like I said a lot of words. And lastly, I know this sounds, when I say it, a host family is going to be like, duh, but your au pair is an adult. You would be surprised at how many au pairs go into Rematch, and when you ask them why, they're like, I feel like she treated me like a kid. I feel like she babied me. I feel like she smothered me. I feel like I couldn't do anything right. I felt like another kid, you know. remember, au pairs are adults. And I actually spoke about this in one of my videos where I talk about should au pairs have a curfew. Au pairs are definitely adults, and I know au pairs are living in your house and au pairs should obey your rules, but treat your au pair like an adult. You trusted this adult to take care of your kids. Trust that they are going to do the right thing, because too many host families try and turn that au pair into their child when you're not their child. And au pairs come here for the freedom, for travel, to not be smothered. And then they come here and host families make them feel like, you know, they're kids, they're young. And it's also frustrating, like living in somebody else's house and having a curfew and having all these things. I think treat your au pair like an adult and have mutual respect. The au pair will have respect, or should have respect for you, and you need to have respect for them, and understand that yes, even though they're younger than you and technically they're working for you, they're still adults. And I feel like when you respect your au pair respects you. Now, I'm not saying in those crazy incidents where au pairs are just disrespectful. I'm talking about host families that are doing the work and au pairs that are doing the work too. And so yeah, that is it for today's video. I feel like I said a bunch of words, but hopefully something stood out to you, and I pray that you never have to go through a messy rematch, and that it just maybe like a friendly one or just different personalities, but that these tips help you avoid even entering rematch, because it can be annoying at times. But yeah, do not forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Bye.